Hello, Coach Jasmine. Thank you so much for your time today. Can you talk about what exams you coach for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Coach Jasmine. I tutor for the CPCE, NCE, and NCMHCE.
Awesome. Real quick, sometimes people are a little confused between the NCE, the NCMHCE. Which one do I have to take? Any insight about that?
Yeah, so CPCE is usually something that you still take while you're in grad school. It's usually for you to graduate from your counseling program. NCE is for licensing. Um, in some areas, they do allow you to take your NCE while you're still in school. So that's always kind of like best practice. You've already taken the CPCE, you knocked it out, and then you can kind of go in and take your NCE. Some states, not all, require the NCMHCE. That one looks a little bit differently, but it also applies to licensure. And that offers like vignettes that you read. Um, and then you kind of apply that information, counseling skills, and that's also used for licensure. And again, not all states require it.
Yeah, I know I didn't have to take the NCMHCE, but that one is there are less questions, but the questions are longer, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. So, um, when you're thinking about working with individual clients, which you do multiple times a week, um, we all have different learning styles. Some people learn best by watching, listening, reading, doing. So, how or what strategies do you use to help meet the needs of your client?
Yes. So one thing that I utilize in one of our platforms is a whiteboard. So while we're teaching and we're talking about it, I kind of type, and then I also allow students to type as well. So it's kind of autonomy in what we want to do in our sessions based on levels and ages and things of that nature, just kind of meeting each student where they are. And I found that it's really helpful in retaining the knowledge. One thing I also do is it allows me to kind of build a study schedule or a study guide for the students so they can take that information with them, even if it's in their own words as we're typing it. And I find that that's really helpful in helping them to learn. And then they also back that up if they want to listen to a video or if they want to read. So they kind of have like, they want to use that as a complement to videos or complements to reading.
Awesome. Yeah. And in case people that are new to us don't know, they have access to those recordings and can see, go back and look and see what you guys did too. So that's super helpful to have that right all in one spot.
Absolutely.
So when you're working with clients, a lot of them bring in challenges that they might be facing outside of just your sessions. So how or what are some of those common challenges and then how do you help them overcome those?
Yeah, absolutely. So most clients are either students that are working full-time jobs, caregivers, parents, someone that has multiple roles. They may also just think that they're a bad test taker, while also being in these different roles and being a student. Some students have graduated, 5 years ago and they never took the test, or they've kind of given up on themselves to taking the test, so they're still trying to. So those are some very common challenges that we kind of see across the board. Um, and just meeting clients again where they are. Some of the same things that we learn in our counseling program. So, what information do you know? What are you strong in? How do you learn how do you take tests? What is your fear? So maybe I meet them at learning to understand the questions and practicing with them on those questions, because sometimes they do have the content base and understanding those things. It's just the context of the questions. Um, so yeah, just meeting clients kind of where they are and where, what their study style is, and how I can kind of help them to the other side.
I think one of the really cool things that you do with clients is, like you mentioned previously, is making a study plan. And so I think sometimes, people come and I felt like this so overwhelmed or anxious, or I'm taking this test and I have to pass for my job, or it's the last time I can take it, or you name it. And so if they have a plan, they can go back and refer to and know, okay, this is where I'm at. this is where I'm going and this is how we're going to get there.
Mhm.
I think that, and I know your clients do too, is so helpful, just to try to bring that anxiety or nervousness down
Mhm.
a little bit. The other thing is you definitely know how to, or know how people feel when they are juggling multiple things, because you are working here for academic coaching. You're a full-time student. You also work um, at your school. So you have a lot going on. So I think it's also great that you can empathize with them. You know a little bit about what they might be going through for sure.
Absolutely.
So we know that, we try to make things as exciting and interesting as we can when it comes to learning what you need to know for the test. But I think all of us would admit we'd rather be watching something on Netflix or reading or taking a walk. So, how do you make your sessions enjoyable and productive?
Absolutely. So when kind of getting to know my clients in creating their study plan, what our study sessions are going to look like, what each week is going to look like, what topic we're breaking down, I always make sure to ask kind of about their lives. So I get to know you a little bit in the midst of kind of creating this plan. If you're a school counselor, or if you're a clinician, or where you work, are you in a community setting, are you school based? Those things are really important to kind of conceptualizing what this looks like and what their knowledge base is, so that we can apply that information. Um, so whether we're looking at human growth and development, or if we're looking at groups, I make sure that I cater that knowledge to where they are, or even something that's relatable, like using their favorite movie, or using their favorite group, as far as like a band, right? Or their favorite musician. Those things are important in helping them understand, because they kind of rely on that information to bring them back to the information. So if we're talking about Tuckman and forming, storming, norming, performing. Okay, who is your favorite, group? Is it the Backstreet Boys? Is it the Temptations? Whatever. So we kind of put that in the context of information that they already know, and they're like, okay, that makes so much more sense, and they can kind of rely on that to kind of come back. So making it fun and something that they can like, oh yeah, I know this. So it's always fun.
Yeah, I love that. And then when they get in the test and they see Tuckman, that also, like we were talking about with the anxiety, if they think about the Backstreet Boys or whoever it is,
Right.
hopefully that kind of lowers that anxiety. Like, okay, I got this. Like, I have an example I can, replay in my head. So that's an awesome strategy to use. Well, Coach Jasmine, thank you so much for your time. Just a reminder, she coaches for the CPCE, the NCE, and the NCMHCE. So definitely request Coach Jasmine for your sessions if you have any of those tests coming up. And I know she looks forward to meeting and working with you. And Coach Jasmine, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that'll be all. I look forward to working with you all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.